Hello and welcome to the Post-Mortem episode of MTG Arena Run. Here we'll be taking a look at the demise of the Azorius Ascension deck. Well, it's not that bad. We went 2-3 with 2 wins, 3 losses with a stock deck. But let's take a look at it's actually quite interesting. The deck comes out to easy $20. Basically around the I wouldn't call this a very good I wouldn't call it a very good price, but it does have some very nice rares in the price. So, but anyway, we're not here to talk price. We're playing on Magic the Gathering Arena. Price is kind of irrelevant there. But we are going to take a look at what could we do to make the deck better. So, first things first. Yeah, we should sort the cards by type. Okay. Definitely the first thing to go would be the 4 copies of Meandering River. We're definitely going to replace those with 4 copies of Glacial Fortress. And simply put, it's a much better card. Okay, so let's take a look. Glacial Fortress, much better version. There is, unless it's the very first land you play, or unless you've not had a colored land since, this will definitely come into play untapped. So we definitely want a full play set of those. Let's take a look. Then next thing we should check out are our enchantments, because okay, so we need to remember that we don't have Kaladesh or Aether Revolt in Magic the Gathering Arena right now. That might change, or they might just leave it off when the next rotation comes in. So let's take a look at the enchantments that we probably should remove. We definitely need to remove the Singleton Desert's Hold. Sure, it helped us on Curve the last time, but unless we actually plan to change the deck's mana base by adding deserts, I'm not too keen on doing that. That one has to go. Pious Interdiction has to go. There are basically better options for that. So let's see, what Compulsory Rest, that one's got to go as well. So our choice, we actually have another choice for enchantment removal. Wait, I typed that in the wrong spot. You're gonna have to forgive me. It's my first time checking this program out. Yep. This is another option that we could look into. The most important thing we need is Flash. And this one's actually very good removal. I might actually take out Baffling End in favor of this. Being able to cast this on your opponent's turn is so important. So yeah, we're gonna put about 3 to 4 of these. So let's probably ditch the Baffling End also. Sure, your opponent has to attack, but at least as long as it's tapped, and we do have an Edifice of Authority that we might keep or we might upgrade. So, and we probably should add 1 more cast out. It would, though we did run into the problem of Excellence Binding in that very last game. Actually, being able to juggle your Excellence Binding is a very important skill also, especially when you know your opponent's playing the same thing. It's a shame that our opponent had cast out as well. But it shows how important that diversity is. For now, we're gonna have 2 cast outs and one Excellence Binding. I might sub. There's another card I want to sub out. Forsake the Worldly. No, we can use Excellence Binding for that. For now, I'm gonna make it 2 and 2. I can see an argument for 3 cast outs instead. So that's how we would fix that deck up a bit. Let's take a look also. We will keep the 1 copy of Kumena's Awakening. Sure, it's just for... Sure, it's just plain card draw. And it really doesn't do anything until your next upkeep. I'm gonna leave that in there for now. There probably should search if there are better Ascend cards. Let's see. Does this card only search names, or can... Okay. We can... That's probably it. We're not playing Radiant Destiny. This is not the kind of deck. The deck we're gonna play next time is definitely a Radiant Destiny deck. I guess we're keeping the Comena's Awakening. We could just easily play another Arch of Oraska instead. Oraska Relic is quite bad. Yeah. I guess we'll keep the Comena's Blessing for now. Let's take a look at our creatures. I would rather have another Angel of Sanctions than the Angler Drake. So I'm gonna bump that up, drop this down. Have to also be careful with my mana base. Right now the mana is set for a lot more... Well, actually right now it's set to close to 50-50. Probably should fix that. If we can have it lean one way, it'll be better. Let's take a look at our other creatures. Arch. Glyph Keeper's a nice one to have also. We definitely want another one of that. Snubhorn Sentry, it did some nice... Well, it barely did nice work on that last game. Though it... So actually, here's the thing. We can choose to keep the Snubhorn Sentries instead of the Labyrinth Guardians. Or we can swap it out the other way around. Slippery Scoundrel, not so much of a keep that... Oh wait, there are more entries. Sky Marcher Aspirant, no, not this deck. Spirewinder, no. Timestream Navigator. We're not exactly a taking turns deck. That's it for white blue. Yeah. Well, from the looks of it, at least they chose the good Ascend creatures. So now it's a question, do we... I do want to add at least another Resplendent Griffin. I guess what we'll do is we'll drop the Snubhorn Sentries. Let's bump up a Labyrinth Guardian and a Resplendent Griffin. We need some creatures that we could cast. We could cast at instant speed also. Either instants that make tokens, or actual creatures with flash. Let's see what we got here. Mind Sensor will not affect us. It won't affect us, but it is 3 mana. Stalker's a bit weak. Crafty Cut Purse. This would be nice, but it's really more of a sideboard card. We're not a Merfolk deck. Dreamcaller Siren's interesting, but that's more for the blue-black pirates or the Grixis pirate deck. You have to also remember that we don't have Aether Revolt or Kaladesh available, so let's see. Merfolk Trickster. This guy's actually interesting, but it's not something that we can crash into quite easily. Nimble Obstructionist. 3 mana, you can flash it, it will trade. You can also cycle it. Can also counter abilities. This might actually be interesting, but the 1 mana is a bit of a liability. We barely have any historic cards, so Raph is not gonna make the cut. Saving Grace. Cute, but no. Sentinel Pearl Trident 3/3 flash. Has a no, 5 mana is a bit too expensive. We could play a Torrential Gearhulk. That isn't. That is a very good That is a very good way to upgrade the deck. I suppose we should put at least one or two. I would probably drop the Vizier is hit or miss. It really is more of a sideboard card. I'll probably drop the Vizier. Sunscorched Champion does gain us health. Trick is really more on... What we can do is we can actually reduce the Labyrinth Guardians and just bump up on the Sunscorched Champions. Probably should drop the Slippery Scoundrel as well. And let's see what gives us a good set of removal spells. Resplendent Griffin. I think we can actually drop the Griffin also. So what we have are... we could go for a full play set of the champions, being able to gain some extra life, and it's just for one more mana than Labyrinth Guard. Okay, I guess someone's coming home. Anyway, so we'll definitely add another Sunscorched Champion. So let's see what... So now let's take a look at our instants and sorceries. River's Rebuke does a good job. I'm not too happy with Secrets of the Golden City. If you're in real trouble, there's really no good time to cast it. What I'd probably do is I would bump up the Hieroglyphic Illumination. At least you can cast that in instant. Definitely want to add a copy of Settle the Wreckage. Again, you want sweepers that you can cast at instant speed. Sure, these only wipe attackers, but it's quite good. Unfortunately, again, no Kaladesh, no Aether Revolt, so Fumigate is not an option. I could also... an argument can also be made for just removing the River's Rebuke and just simply settling away the wreckage, but you do have to deal with other things aside from just creatures. What I could do is... let's drop one... The Glyph Keeper was okay. It's a 5 mana spell. It's very hard to remove. It's really a question, which would you prefer more? Angel Sanctions because it's also removal, or would you want Glyph Keeper because it's hard to remove it itself? Let's drop the Glyph Keeper right now. And let's add another Settle the Wreckage. We only need cards at the very end. Also helps that it's an instant that we can pick up again with Torrential Gearhulk. Sure, 10 mana, but we can get there. Speaking of which, let's flesh out our counter spells. Let's take a look at them. Counter target spell. Let's take a look at what we got. We could easily replace the cancels with Supreme Wills, though actually might be a better... let's drop the cancels. Let's add Supreme Will for now, because you are paying 3 mana. It's like a mana leak. There are a few instances where this doesn't counter much. Let's see if we have other choices. Oh wait, Disallow is currently in Aether Revolt, so that's not an option. Disappearing Act, Kaladesh, also not an option. Trying to remember. I know we have a good 3 mana counter right now. Right now I'm kind of revealing to you guys how Look out this personal. You really want to have a pirate. Telic Rebuke, reduce to rubble, revolutionary rebuff. Spell Pierce is gonna be cheaper than Negate, though we barely save much. Wizard's Retort. We don't have enough wizards. This is might as well just be cancel. So I guess we can try revolutionary rebuff. But there are some good artifacts that again, and also it's in Kaladesh. Insidious Will, 4 mana, no, too expensive, and we're not really gonna use the other modes. Hornswoggle, cute, but I think we'll stick with Essence Scatter. So yeah, I guess we drop the cancels in favor of Supreme Will. At least it's a bit more flexible. Probably should drop. Okay, here's the catch. Censor is very miss for me. I would prefer to drop the censor in favor of another. It's really hard to say. Between Essence Scatter and Negate, it's easy. You can easily say that right now, Essence Scatter is much more useful. But there are some decks where this is just plain does nothing. I guess the argument would be to drop these in favor of more sensors. So let's drop a copy of Negate. Let's definitely. Right now, this one is weaker to creature decks. I guess we will bump up one Essence Scatter. We also should bump up the Opt by 1. Spell Swindle. Payoff's not so great. I probably will drop that in favor of another spell. Expel from Oraska. I guess we should keep this. We cut a lot of Ascend cards already. We did put another Arch. Okay, I'm gonna add one more Expel. Let's actually take a look at what we have here. Let's see. Let's have the full playset of Op. Let's refresh this deck. Let's take a look at the deck as it is right now. Definitely gonna be more expensive. You're gonna burn a lot of you're gonna burn a lot of wild cards on this. And let's take a look at our mana. So definitely more blue than white. So I would probably drop one plains from the list. So then we have our Edifice that we can easily sub this out with an Icy Manipulator. It costs one more, but you don't. But it just taps stuff. Also has the advantage of tapping artifacts or lands. I guess it's a possible upgrade we can do. So let's take a look at the deck now as it is. And we're gonna see. Okay, we have a nice curve. Definitely the 25 lands is correct for this one. An argument can be made for keeping both meandering rivers and glacial fortresses. There's no need to keep a lot of basics. There's actually you can also trim some of the basics for other utility lands. Right now, these 3 enchantments are our seal-aways. We have we have our Essence Scatters and Expels from Oraska. I guess this would be a decent upgrade to the deck. Definitely need to remove the torrential gear hulks. I'm gonna apologize, guys. Card is so good, but my brain just farted and I realized that it's simply not in it's not in Magic the Gathering Arena right now. So Glyph Keeper comes back. Let's actually take a look at the embalm. Let's take a look at the embalm cards first before see what other options we have. Aven Wind Guide, if we're going for creature tokens, no. At this point we want top end cards. Ketra's Attendant, no, it's just a plain tree. Argument can be made for the Guardian. Actually right now we have we have no real 2-drops. So let's take a look at the deck. How did we get to 61 cards? Okay, let's drop the Sunscorch Champion to 3. Let's take a look at the deck right now. And okay, Singleton Edifice. Basically, yeah, most of our creatures are in. All our creatures are here. I'm probably gonna drop some of the spells. In fact, only 8 creatures. Yeah, this is too low. Way too many spells. We're too dependent on Essence Scatters. We could just drop the Essence Scatters altogether. We could just depend on the Supreme Will. Okay, this is what I'm gonna test out. I'm gonna drop the Essence Scatters. We're gonna put 2 Labyrinth Guardians again. Argument can be made for adding cards like Adorned Pouncer, or that's a 2 to cast 1/1 double strike. But we do want to be able to, but we do want to have a big high toughness level. It's not just about I guess, yeah, Sensor is actually quite good after all. Right now, let's see. Let's check out the Eternalized cards. I know there's a Adorned Pouncer. This one's Champion of Wits is another option. Instead of gaining us life, it allows us to draw into more cards. Let's put one of those in for the time being. Vizier of the Anointed, what does this guy do? Search your library for... Okay. Nope. We're not that all in on that. An argument can actually be made for another Champion of Wits instead of the... No, we want to keep Labyrinth Guardians. We dropped a lot of the counter spells. Probably could just drop one opt in favor of another creature. Champion of Wits is essentially probably better in this case. This is one way to fix it. I did not dump a ton of rares. Basically, just added two more copies of another mythic. This one actually counts as removal and is a bit more resilient. There are many other ways to tweak this deck. This is how I would tweak it. I would keep it I would keep the theme a bit simpler. If you have a ton of mythic wild cards, I guess you can add some of the new legends from Dominaria. Let's see. Lyra Dawnbringer is very nice, even just as a one-off. Another one-off that we could add is Arman Teferi. In fact, it looks like he looks like a very nice addition to this deck. Buys us time, untaps to make our instance better. Yeah, let's toss in one Teferi. Let's drop the Glyph Keepers. We can play the longer game. Then we can bump up the Labyrinth Guardian by 1. So Azorius Ascension, Control, and Bomb. We have at least we have some interesting choices now. When I'm done doing all the 10 decks as is, and if there are no significant changes to how Magic the Gathering Arena goes, I can build this deck up. Try again. Maybe it's a lot better this time. Or maybe I might take way too long. Core 19 comes out. I'll have to redesign this again. But anyway, we'll see. And mana distribution, we want our blue earlier, so we're sticking with 10-8. We don't need to do 50-50 here. So anyway, that's the Post-Mortem on the Azorius Ascension deck. Looks a lot, I guess it looks neater, more streamlined, and I hope you enjoyed our run with the Azorius Ascension deck, and hope to see you next time when we visit. You know what? I'll keep the next deck as a surprise. Okay, it's not much of a surprise if you've seen how they ordered the deck lists on the Wizards website. But anyway, hope to see you guys again. I hope you guys like and subscribe if you like this content, like the thought process of how I go through streamlining a deck. Simply, you can actually take this deck into a whole different direction, but this is my improved take on the control deck for now. So hope to see you guys again next time, and peace.